Okay, right now, just 200 feet separates Little Sarasota Bay from the rest of the Gulf. A Sarasota County Commissioner and State Senator, they're pushing now to reopen Midnight Pass and return tidal flow to the bays.
Permitting and design, along with environmental factors, are at stake before any changes can be made permanent. Photojournalist Tim Berquist spent hours digging into the 4 scenarios leaders will consider the future of Midnight Pass.
I think there's a lot of positives that could happen if we reestablish the tidal connection, but it's how you do it is really like the devil's in the details. There are projects that could be done that might be just good news, and there are projects that could be done that might be worse than the problem they're trying to solve. When it rains a lot, the fresh water forms a lens on top of the saltier water underneath, and that bottom water is kind of trapped and the oxygen levels can crash. And after Hurricane Ian came through here, the only place where we found that, the salinity difference and the oxygen crash, was in Little Sarasota Bay. And you can't fix that with wastewater and stormwater retrofits because that's a physical process, not like some biochemical thing. And one of the scenarios is do nothing. So what would happen to Little Sarasota Bay if you did nothing? Only 2 scenarios have been discussed in the past, were a wild pass, which is what you used to have there. But a wild pass is not impossible, but if you were to recreate a connection and it was a wild pass, you'd probably have to open it a couple times, and maybe a couple times a year. If you did a jetty, like if you had something that went out, structures that went out, it probably wouldn't move, but it could still close. If you look at Venice Inlet, for example, there's a really wide beach on the north side of the inlet, and there's not on the south side of the inlet. And because the sand is trapped, if you would, on the jetty on the north side of the inlet. Another technique that's been used is to put in a tidal culvert, sort of like a channel. And it's not like a little tiny pipe, it's something big enough to get enough water to move. We think that's a 4th alternative that's worth looking at. Not doing anything, wild pass, jetty, culvert. Look at them all and find out which one makes the most sense.
So next month, people who live there, they'll be able to weigh in on what they think should happen to Midnight Pass. They'll have a meeting with the Sarasota County Commissioners on April 11th.